Kentucky reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong opposition to H.J. Res. 26, the second episode in the new mini-series where the House majority asks the United States Congress to act as a super city council of 535 members to make decisions for the people of Washington, D.C. A real city with a real city council and mayor, which some of my colleagues apparently have never visited or had any real interaction with. The people in Washington, D.C. want to make their decisions about democratic self-government for themselves. They don't want the representatives of other Americans to come and make decisions for them. Now, President Biden was here this week for his great State of the Union address, and when you could hear him over the heckling, he talked about the great progress we're making as a nation, economically with 12 million new jobs, in terms of support for Americans in their health care, with the dramatic reduction in health care prescription drug costs. We've cut to $35 a month what people have to spend on their insulin shots if they have diabetes. We just passed a record investment in climate preparedness to deal with the extreme climate emergency and all of the extreme weather events that people in the United States are experiencing across the country. That is a national agenda. That's a real national agenda. Now, my friends across the aisle want to spend this week instead superintending and reviewing the bills that are being passed by the D.C. City Council for 713,000 American citizens who live in Washington, D.C. Yesterday it was about voting rights, and today it's about criminal justice reform. And I'm sure down the road, just as in the past, it's going to be their gun safety laws, and it's going to be their laws allowing for Medicaid-funded abortions for poor women, and then they'll go after their LGBTQ laws, and so on. There will be a parade of attacks on local democratic self-government in Washington, D.C. Now, I believe that people of Washington should be treated like all other American citizens. And right now, what they've asked for is admission to the Union as a state. Now, most of the members of this body represent states that were admitted after the original 13. 37 states came in afterwards with Congress's exercise of its Article 4 powers to admit new states. And that was very much the design of the Constitution and the Founders' Plan. Go back and read some Thomas Jefferson about that. We were not set up as a country where certain people would make decisions for other people, but people instead would be able to govern themselves. In fact, the basis of our attack on British rule over America was us rejecting the idea of virtual representation, that some people could make decisions for other people. No, the whole premise of American democracy is people make decisions for themselves. So the 713,000 tax-paying draftable citizens of Washington, D.C., whose population has participated in every war America has ever fought, from the point of the American Revolution through the Civil War, all the way up through the recent wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, those people are asking for admission to the Union. And this House of Representatives in the 117th and the 116th Congress voted to give it to them. It didn't quite make it through the Senate, which is always slower on these things, but that is the trajectory that the people of D.C. are on. And instead of trying to join President Biden in all of the great national economic progress and infrastructure progress and healthcare progress we're making, the House majority decides instead to usurp the role of the D.C. City Council and to begin to micromanage their government and finger paint all over their laws. That's what they're doing today. Now, we don't have time to compare the laws of D.C. With the laws of each of the other states, but I just want my colleagues to be on notice. I've got the laws of the other states, and I can do those direct head-to-head comparisons. I don't think we should go down this road. I don't think that's a healthy thing for us to be doing as a Congress, because we should be respecting the democratic self-government rights of the people of Washington, D.C. Nobody is more interested in public safety in Washington than the people of Washington. Nobody is more interested in the processes of democratic self-government in Washington than the people of Washington. Nobody is more interested in their health care policies, in their housing policies than them. And I would invite any of my colleagues who have actually been to a meeting of the District of Columbia City Council or their local advisory neighborhood commission to rise and tell us about the experience. But if they haven't, they should leave democratic self-government, local self-government in Washington to the people of Washington, D.C. And I will reserve.